Rivian and GM have both made some big announcements this week, and it is very, very exciting, I guess. Maybe not, but it's a movement in a direction, which for Rivian and GM is about as exciting as it's going to get. Joining me to talk about this is Herbert from Brighter. What a great channel. What great guests he has, including me. That's how you know he's legit. I'm Brian. Welcome to Future Aza. So Herbert, we've got some good news and some bad news, I suppose. Let's just jump right into it. Rivian now says it's going to make fewer vehicles this year than it did in 2023. Unfortunate. They're blaming a supply shortage, to which I say, which part? Which part? Because I don't believe you. I think the supply that they're short of is customers. They've got do you know where I can get some? What? It's true. Do you know where I could find a customer or two? So the news, came as the company reported Q3 deliveries, and they came in below expectations. They're now revising it down from 57,000 to just 47 to 49. And last year they had done 57,000. Last year was a great year for Rivian. Twice they had to revise their projections upward. This year, not so much. If you wanted an electric truck in 2023, you had just two choices, the Lightning and the Rivian. Rivian produced 13,000 vehicles during the quarter, delivered 10,000 of them, youchers, compared to higher numbers last year. It's a good 20% less. What do you make of it?
Well, of course, so they're not the only automaker that's reporting revised forecasts for the year. I think we've reported at least 6 other automakers that are doing the same thing. So listen, they're in trouble. So your comment is exactly correct, right? They just don't have the volume. And so what Jeff Lutz is saying is that it could be true that a supply chain issue is what caused one part missing, and therefore everything got slowed down, and then they can't produce it. Well, the reason why that could be the case is because their numbers are so small. The numbers of Rivians that they create are so tiny that their suppliers not going to prioritize them.
No,
it's not going to.
Not unless they're paying extra, which is
right.
No,
so they're not going to do that. Number one, and that's why it's such a big mistake for Rivian to announce yet a new model. They need to stick to one model, grow that in huge volumes, reduce the chance of a supply chain issue because the reason is supply chain. The other potential issue here is that they often will blame the supplier. So Jeff Lutz, who is a supply chain expert, this is his background. He has experience with this, like with manufacturing. And he goes, yeah, it happens all the time. The OEM would say, oh, I had a supply chain issue. But actually, they didn't have the customers. They didn't have the volume, the manufacturing. The other story here is that Rivian has also had to cut back. Are you going to report on this? That the factory has been pushed back. So their factory was initially, going to come out in 2026. Now it's 2028. It's Q4 2028. So everything's been just complete delayed. And so this could be the start of, kind of like that spiral downwards.
It could be. Let's get into that. They had announced originally that there was going to be a big factory.
There you go.
But now they're reaching out to get a federal loan to get it back in gear, because they are going to be making the R2 in Normal, Illinois, at their big plant there, the former Mitsubishi plant, for which they paid, it was so amazing, I want to say $30 million, and it included the equipment, some of which they were able to reuse. So they are applying for this $1.5 billion loan. That is debt, but it is not dilutive. So if they get this $1.5 billion, they would be required, it would be tied to the ability to build the factory. But they want to spend $5 billion on it, which is real tough. So they petitioned the DOE for the loan under the Advanced Technology Vehicle Manufacturing Program. Well, they had previously planned to start in 2026. Now it's not going to break ground until later
2028.
And 2028. So that would be the plant for the R3. I think they can survive on the R2. Another one, another article I'd seen said that they still have a lot of incentives that are available at the state level. I don't know if that's in this one, but that they if you combine the loan of $1.5 billion, the state incentives, you're getting a big chunk of the way there. And I don't think they need to spend $5 billion. They want to spend $5 billion, but I don't think they need to. I think 3 could get them close enough to where they need to be. It doesn't need to be, the size of Giga Shanghai. It just
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the issue again. We're just saying they're talking about R2, R3. They're talking about, building another factory for a new vehicle. And they are nowhere near in cash flow issues, that this health of their company. So if you go back and look what Tesla did, and they were focused on the Model S, they did not release a Model Y until they were flipped. They were already going back up again in cash flow. So I don't know how these guys are thinking about this.
It's tricky. It is tricky. I would say that you can build a productive car factory in that part of the country, and we know because Hyundai's Metaplant just announced assembly of their first electric vehicle.
Just one last comment on Rivian, though. The issue is that they got caught, right? They were creating their electric truck, fantastic truck, and then in comes Cybertruck, and Cybertruck is now the number one sell. Just beat them to it, and so now they're losing sales there. So now they're like scrambling to try to create another truck. If they were lucky enough that the Cybertruck came out, a couple of years later, and they were able to right the ship before them, they would have been able to survive that. But anyways, that was just the last comment.
I agree entirely on that, and it's worth noting that Tesla sold more Cybertrucks in July. Forget August, forget September. In July, than Hummer has made.
Yeah.
And that's, a little embarrassing for a truck that's been out 2-3 years, 2 years, I guess. And then you've got Lightning. It is catching up with Lightning. It'll probably, depending how this quarter goes, it could beat it this year. And then who's next on the chopping block? Then comes Rivian. They've got the highest volume so far. It'll take a little bit longer, but by this time next year, certainly Cybertruck will have become the best-selling electric truck of all time. But I think it's probably going to happen in like Q2, certainly by the middle of the year. It's going to happen real soon because the volume is real high. Unlike mine, I'm kind of whispering because volume joke.
Yeah, volume joke.
So there's a fun little slideshow. Shows a factory. Hyundai knows how to build factories. They know how to build cars, and the vehicles must have final assembly in North America, and at least 60% of the battery must be assembled in North America. So Hyundai, they already qualify for a incentive if you lease the vehicle, and there are ways to get around it by doing that. But this is their push to try and get the vehicles to qualify for the IRA credit straight up, and being able to knock $7,500 off the price of a car is a big deal. Because if you look at a lot of competitors that really want to sell cars in the US aren't even trying, because without having that level playing field, it makes it tricky. And I don't know if you saw, but I think yesterday or today I started my this year's Are They Doomed series, and I've already got 6 of them shot, 1 or 2 of them up. It's surprising how little the numbers have changed.
I love your Are They Doomed series. Love that so much. Hyundai, I don't believe, right, will fall into Are They Doomed, because
I don't think so. I haven't gotten to them yet.
Okay. So Hyundai's doing very well as far as I'm concerned. I don't know the full story, but from what I know, that they are selling their Ioniq 5s and 6 quite well. This story about the Georgia factory is, I think, from everything I've read, sounds like a success story. It only took them 2 years to build that factory up there. They're now selling it in the US. So here is an international company coming in to the US, building a factory in the US, selling it in the US, so they can get away from all the issues that all the other, companies are still facing. They've landed, they're starting to produce, and they're selling enough. So
all true. And Hyundai knows how to build a good car. Now, I wouldn't call it a great car because if a car doesn't have the level of autonomy that I'm used to, I just couldn't buy one, man. I just couldn't do it.
Just yesterday, they announced a multi-year strategic partnership with Waymo. But when you read into it, all it is really Waymo has decided to buy Hyundai cars. So you're the you're the Hyundai CEO. You got a phone call from the Waymo guys. Can we buy some of your cars, please? And you go, yes. And then you sell them the Hyundai Fives. Now, guess what? Waymo still needs to do. They need to take those cars and put in all the lidars and all the the equipment and the platform. So they still have a ton of work to do. But that when you read into it, it sounds like, oh my God, Hyundai and Waymo, but it's really just Waymo's going to use Hyundai cars now.
Now, I know you think that it's going to be difficult to retrofit a car, but I'm going to show you a picture of a driverless autonomous car, and you tell me if you can even spot the sensors.
I can't see it, dude. Maybe it's like really underneath. It's maybe underneath it's where the blue lights coming out.
Yeah, I think I see one. Guys, this is expensive. It is expensive. And by the way, you haven't done crash testing with these all over it, I'm sure. When there is a serious collision, is this top roof mount going to come loose and kill somebody? I don't know, dude. It's we have fun, you guys. In the comments, could you spot the sensors? Could you? Be honest. Yeah, so all I'm saying is I think there is some good news out there this week. I think Rivian is not dead yet. I think they have a chance. I think they make fantastic products. I don't know if they're going to make it. I haven't gotten to them on my Are They Doomed series yet either, but we'll see. And when that happens, I'll let you know so you can take a look at it and see if you share whatever score I give them. Because, I tear into the financials. I look at cash on hand, cash flow, all that. And it's tricky. Right now, Rivian's biggest problem is demand. They are struggling with that. And the more they cut prices, the harder it's going to be for them to continue to grow because they need that money. So we'll see. Guys, in the comments, what do we miss? What do we misunderstand? Leave it. Stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you. Clever robots on the flippity flop.